All right, thank you everyone for coming together here. We're going to go ahead and get started here shortly. What's great is actually we had an infusion of a handful of new faces. We did put an invite out to a lot of our community partners to come see this next speaker because we're very excited about his message, and I think his message has great promise for Lake Tahoe Community College, but really for all the businesses and organizations and groups here in the South Shore of Lake Tahoe. So our speaker today is Shola Richards, and the title of this presentation is Making Work Work. And kind of in my mind, when I saw Shola present, I thought this is about making work work for myself, for working with my coworkers, for my customers, our students, right? Making it a positive experience for all of us. Shola is a best-selling author. He has a book out called Making Work Work. And then on Tuesday, September 4th, just released Go Together. Definitely, I know a few folks in the office are reading Making Work Work. If you like what he has to say, you might want to check that out to find out more. Shola comes to us. He's currently author, keynote speaker. He was previously the director of organizational development and training for UCLA Medical Center. So did a lot of leadership training and bringing organizations together. I saw his message this summer, so I'm kind of give an abbreviated version of this. And it was the best speaker and the most compelling message I saw all year. And I said, you know what, we got to get this guy on our campus. And when I reached out to him, I said, hey, Shola, I know you got a new book launching on September 4th. You want to have time to come to Lake Tahoe? And he says, yeah, I got about a 2-month blacked out calendar for a book tour, but I have 2 days available. How's September 12th and 13th? And those were our days. And so, sometimes the stars just align for you. And I find, especially when you're being positive, things just work out. And that's a lot of his message, is about how do I bring a positive approach to the workplace, to my day-to-day life, and the difference that it makes for all of us around those. I want to share one other story, kind of connecting this home to us. So a year ago today, here we were I was giving my first day of the college address, and I shared this African proverb with you. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think it was a good start, and we kind of sprinkled that idea around campus. And over the next 75 minutes, Shola's really going to take this concept home and take it to the next level. So please join me in giving a warm Lake Tahoe Community College and South Lake Tahoe welcome to Shola Richards.
Thank you. LTCC! I'm so happy to be here, Jeff. Thank you for the introduction. Again, my name is Shola Richards, and I gotta pause for a minute because my name is unique. So my name's Shola, is West African. It means one who was blessed. You like it? I got it for my birthday. Sorry, that was kind of cheesy, but let's get to why we're here. I gotta start and kind of riff off of the quote that Jeff just showed. It said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And there's a word in African culture that I want to share with you that if I do this correctly, LTCC, this will stay emblazoned upon your minds forever. The word is called Ubuntu. Now, this word is an African word. It's spelled U-B-U-N-T-U. And this word has everything to do with how to work positively in the workplace. And I want to share with you what this word means. It means, I am because we are. Allow me to share with you a very true story. A few years ago, in a village in southern Africa, there's an American sociologist that went to this village to play with some kids, study some kids, and kind of learn more about the African culture. And he came to this village with a basket full of American toys and candy. One day, these kids were playing outside, and he went up to these kids and said, hey kids, I want to play a game with you. I'm going to set this basket of treats down next to this tree. In a minute, kids, I'm going to say, ready, set, go. And kids, when I say go, you can come over, rush this basket of toys and candy, and grab as much as you want. How do you feel about that, kids? Now, these African kids have never seen anything like this before, right? They're like, yeah! Super cute. They're super excited. True story. So he sets the basket of toys over here. The African kid's about like maybe 20 yards away. He's like, all right, kids, ready, set, go. What happened next? LTCC changes everything. The sociologist said go, but not one of those African kids moved a muscle. They stood over here and kind of looked at my man just like. And then after a few seconds, one of the African kids got in front of his friends and he simply said the following. Ubuntu! 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 And he held his arms out like this. And each of the kids interlocked hands, and they slowly and calmly walked to the toys and candy together. Now, in the spirit of full disclosure, I have 2 little girls at home, aged 9 and 7. It is not going down like that in America, trust me. You already knew that. However, what was so fascinating is that the sociologist asked the kid who started that movement a question. He said, please explain to me what happened. I have no idea. I've never seen anything like that before. Please explain what I just saw. And the African kid who started that movement said something so wise beyond his years. He said, listen, there's no way that I can enjoy the candy if the kids who helped make me who I am couldn't enjoy it with me. I am because we are Ubuntu. Now, LTCC, do I have your permission to keep it real with you in this auditorium? I do? Good. I had no backup plan. You said no, so that's good. Okay, cool. So the reason why I shared this story, I was so excited. I heard the story just 2 years ago. And the first time I heard the story, man, I'm easily excited, but I was like, yeah! I gotta share this story with somebody. And just the week after hearing that story for the very first time, there was a leadership symposium in a healthcare organization in Los Angeles. And they reached out to me and said, hey, Shola, can you do that like positive thing that you do and close up our talk with a really positive story? We have like maybe 5 minutes and we just need you to close up with a powerful story. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have the perfect story. I'm gonna talk about Ubuntu. And Lay's like, I don't know what that means, but whatever, just do what you gotta do. I was like, okay. So I went to a room full of nurses, a couple hundred, about the size of this audience, and I shared my story of Ubuntu with these nurses, a room full of nurses, and I got super enthusiastic about it. At the end of my speech, I even screamed out, Ubuntu! At the top of my lungs. Since you said I'd keep it real with you all, those nurses in the audience were completely unimpressed. You know that like weird like curiosity you have like for very bizarre zoo animals, like that tilted head, like. Some people had like really intense like secondhand embarrassment for me, like, oh my gosh, what's he doing? So I had enough self-awareness to realize that I bombed, right? I felt good about the speech before I went in, but I knew I bombed. So I'm leaving the auditorium, and I'm picking up the broken pieces of my soul and ego as I'm leaving, right? And something very interesting happened. There's the meeting, after the meeting, where everyone talked about what happened inside the meeting. That happens in like every single workplace on earth. And I noticed 2 of the nurses outside in the hallway talking about me. Now, this took place in Los Angeles. And people in Los Angeles express their displeasure a little bit differently than anywhere else in the world. So I overheard these 2 nurses talking about my talk. my Ubuntu story. And one nurse was like, oh my gosh, Allison? What was that? What was that? Why was this guy like yelling African words at us? I'm so confused. And what does he want us to do? If there's like a nurse manager opening, should I hold my competence in hands? We apply for the same job together? Ubuntu! Ubuntu! And I've seen this guy present before. Why does he always match his socks with his tie? That's so weird. Yeah, I did it. However, I left that talk and I gave a lot of thought to what that nurse said. And I walked away with 2 takeaways. Takeaway number 1, I will never yell Ubuntu at the end of a speech again, because that's weird. But secondly, I did nothing to make this idea of Ubuntu, I am because we are, actionable. I just shared my story, man. I thought that was good enough. I buffed my nails on my suit like I did something. What I failed those nurses on that day, I will not fail you, including those of you on the live stream, by the way. I'm going to make sure that today I'm very clear about this. And speaking of clarity, Jeff talked about Tahoe Clear. The beautiful thing about Tahoe Clear is that it's simple. It's easy to understand. So when I decided to do a deep dive into what does it mean to create the spirit of Ubuntu in the workplace, I came up with 3 very simple questions. 3 questions. 3 questions that you need to ask yourself before you speak or do anything. And if you cannot say yes to all 3 questions, don't speak. I mean, ideally ever, but you know. Here are the 3 questions. In the spirit of Tahoe Clear, allowing us to be as clear and as simple as possible. The questions are, is it kind? Is it true? And is it necessary? Allow me to start with the very first one. Is it kind? And it's so simple. I learned about the power of kindness from my mom. My mom, one of the most beautiful women I know, and she was born in Natchez, Mississippi. She's from the very deep south, for any of you guys familiar. Oh, wow, in Tahoe, who knew? Okay, so my mom taught me about the power of kindness and what it means to do this well. And I'm 43 years old, and when I learned this story when I was a little boy, my mom taught me this. My mom used to have a southern accent. She'd probably cringe if she heard this. She might be watching the live stream. And my mom taught me about the power of kindness through a very simple lesson. I'm gonna do my best to do my mom's accent. She said one day, she said, baby. How mama talks, she's so cute. She said, baby, there's 2 types of people in this world, baby. The ones who make you feel good as soon as they walk into the room. And the ones who make you feel good as soon as they walk out of it. Like, Mama's right. Isn't this so true? We in the workplace have an importance and, dare I say, a moral obligation to be in the first group. We're talking about kindness in the workplace. And have you ever wondered, why do people choose to work with other people if they don't like people? Kindness matters. And you know what I'm talking about, right? The ones who struggle with the kindness thing, you see them in the morning like, hey, good morning. Like, what's so good about it? The ones who maybe steal credit for your work. I know. The ones who find it necessary to CC the leadership team on every email they send. I know. It actually has an effect. It has an effect. And it's interesting because there's a man named Brennan Manning. He had a very powerful quote about kindness. He said, In every interaction, you're either giving life or you are draining it. There is no neutral exchange. If it sounds like I'm passionate about kindness, you'd be right. Do you know what my nickname is, what people call me around the country? They call me Brother Teresa. Can't make this stuff up. Because I believe in kindness. Now, when I go to organizations and talk about kindness, I always run into one or two people who come up to me and make excuses why they can't be kind. I know, crazy, right? I know. But here's the two most common excuses I hear all the time. Excuse number one: I have so much more important stuff to do than to go around making sure that everyone feels good all the time. Kindness is overrated. It gets in the way of the real work. That's the first excuse. Second excuse is they say, I just don't have the time. Too busy. Don't have the time to do that. So what I'm going to do right now is absolutely crush those two excuses. The two stories that I've just happened to come across rather recently. Let's talk about the one about kindness being unimportant or in the way of the real work. A few years ago, I met a woman whose only child passed away in a hospital in Southern California. And I can tell you right now, and I know this factually, I know you can agree with me for the parents in the room, there's probably nothing more horrific than one of your children leaving this earth before you do. Here's what this woman said to me just 3 short weeks after her only child passed away. She said to me, Shola, I will always remember my experience at this hospital as positive because of the kindness that was given to me by the staff during my darkest time. I want to say this again because I want to make sure that you understand this. It said, Shola, I will always remember my experience at this hospital as positive because of the kindness that was given to me by the staff during my darkest time. She lost her child. And I want to get more specific with you because I really want you to really understand this. This little boy was elementary school aged. He became ill for reasons that are unbeknownst to the parents and to the staff. He came to the hospital to get care. And as you can imagine, this little boy had lots of friends in the schoolyard that he played with and enjoyed time with. But over time, little kids, his friends, stopped visiting the hospital because it's not a fun place to be. And the little boy fell into a depression because he spent a lot of time alone in the hospital, away from his friends, wondering why me. Something very interesting happened though, and the staff noticed something about this little boy. He was a big fan of a TV show. I can't say the TV show's name for respect of the cast, and I want to make sure they keep their privacy, but a very famous TV show, well-known TV show. It's kind of a spy type of a show. And this little boy once a week would watch the show and get extremely excited. It's the only time during the week that this little boy would perk up was when the show came on. The staff of this particular hospital saw this. I was like, you know what? We gotta do something cool for this boy. What if we call the cast of this TV show and see if we can sign a poster and give it to this boy on maybe the day of his surgery, have the whole cast sign it, because they're in Los Angeles. Maybe we can find a way to present him with this poster on the day of his surgery to uplift his spirits. The staff of this particular hospital is like, no, I got a better idea. We're in Los Angeles. Why don't we see if we can actually get the cast of this particular show to roll down to the hospital and surprise this little boy on the day of his surgery? That would be amazing. What the staff did was beyond kind. They stayed late, they made phone calls, they drove back and forth from the studios to finally get the cast of the show to agree. On the morning of the little boy's surgery, he got a knock on his door. And you know how it is in the hospital, right? People taking your blood pressure, drawing your blood. The little boy didn't even look up. Gets another knock on the door. And he looks up. And in the doorway was a lead character for his favorite show. In the doorway. If that wasn't enough, my man came to the hospital in full gear like he wears in the show. How strong is that, right? And the little boy looks up. He's like, freaking out. The lead character stays in character. There's a stuffed bear in the corner of the kid's room. He's like, shh, that bear over there is a secret agent. Let's go get him. Little boy's like, oh my gosh, I knew someone with a bear, let's go. And they spent the next 35 minutes going on a secret mission throughout the hospital. 35 minutes where he got to forget about his illness. 35 minutes. 35 minutes. You know, as kind as that was for the little boy, there's no question that that had a bigger impact on the boy's mom. This woman gave birth to this little boy, changed his diapers, saw him crawl, learn how to stand, how to walk, how to eventually feed himself, how to speak, how to make friends. That first day in kindergarten where she mentioned that her boy was just clinging onto her leg and had the courage to go on to kindergarten and enjoy this day. 35 minutes, she was able to see this little boy in the way that he should be remembered. This is incredibly significant because when unbeknownst to anyone in that room, just a few hours later, the little boy would be taken into the surgery that would end up taking his life. As the little boy was getting prepped for surgery, something very interesting happened. Little boy starts welling up with tears, and the staff is prepping him, and the mom is there. And according to the mom, asked her little boy, like, baby, what's wrong? And the little boy looked at the staff and looked at the mom and said, thank you for making this the best day of my life. Thank you. I share this story, and I've had the very fortunate position of being around a lot of people who do extremely kind acts. So I struggle when someone says it's not important, when they tell me it doesn't matter, that it doesn't change things. That mom walked into the hospital with her son and walked out without him, and the only thing that she gets to take with her is the memory of kindness that was given to her that will sustain her for the rest of her days. This is beyond important. This is critical, and this, in my opinion, is a moral obligation to how we get to change the world. The second one is someone said they don't have time. It's interesting, Jeff showed an interesting book, Start With Why, from Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek has a lot of wonderful TED Talks, and one of his TED Talks talks about leaders eat last, and he has a wonderful recollection of a story that happened in Afghanistan. It was September 8th, 2009, almost a little bit over 9 years ago. There's a man named William Swenson, captain in the US Army. Hopefully you have an opportunity to check this out if you can. You can see it on YouTube. This man was in the middle of a firefight in Afghanistan, and they were hopelessly outnumbered. One of his colleagues, Kenneth Westbrook, got shot. And they show this video from a helmet cam that Simon Sinek shares in the story, where William Swenson rushes into a firefight in Afghanistan. And on September 8, 2009, rushes in and picks up his fallen comrade, picks him up, runs past oncoming enemy fire, and puts this wounded soldier, his colleague, his friend, into the convoy. And he does something amazingly powerful and kind. He leaned over and kissed his fallen comrade on the forehead. He rested him down while bullets are being fired at him. And he ran back out to get more troops. He found the time to be kind. I would challenge us that none of us are being shot at work. Just checking. Okay, good. All right. So we have the ability to do this. The excuses that we come up with aren't true. So someone's like, well, fine, Shola, well, tell me how to make it actionable. Very simple. If you want to make kindness actionable, if these two situations where a mom can walk away with her child being lost and someone can also be kind when they're being shot at, here's the easiest way to be kind here at LTCC and across the world, very simply, just commit to leaving every single thing you touch and every one you touch just a little bit better than you found them. That's it. It doesn't have to be hard. Guys, I was literally in the restroom before this started. There's a paper towel on the ground. I picked that paper towel up. I put it in the trash can. I just left LTCC in South Lake Tahoe better than I found it. Sure did. It doesn't have to be hard. In the spirit of Ubuntu, I am. Because we are. Those little boys understood the importance of kindness and how they treat each other makes a difference in them living their best lives. The second question is it true? Now, it's interesting because this is not about telling the truth, that's obvious. It's about the next step. How do we create an environment of trust? And in any workplace, you have to trust the people that you work with to be effective. And I'll tell you, the number one honor, the highest honor that you can bestow upon another human being is to say the words, I trust you. A lot of people think it's love. It's not love, by the way. I mean, listen, I love love. Love is great. But it's not trust. I'll prove it to you. I guarantee you that there's someone in this room who has had the soul-destroying experience of loving someone who they do not trust. I know. I know. Trust is the highest. If you want to create trust, it's super easy. Be the person who you said you were, right? But I'm going to take it a step further in the workplace. If you want to create trust at LTCC to do the work that we're doing to serve these wonderful students who happen to go here, the easiest way to create an environment of trust is you must, when you come to work every day, you must connect to your higher self at work. You must. Now let me pause for a second. Because you hear that, and you're automatically thinking like something spiritual, like it's a sermon, like higher self, like, oh! I'm not talking about that. It's not church. I said connect to your higher self. But what you heard was connect to your higher self. You're confused. Here is what you thought I said. Connect to your higher self, your H-I-G-H-E-R self. That's not what I said. You gotta connect to your higher self to do this work. Your H-I-R-E self. And if you're confused, I'll spell it out for you. Do you remember the person who you said you were in your job interview? Oh, yeah. I know. Do you remember what you had to say in order to get hired? Oh, some of y'all forgot. Your higher self. Can we rewind back, go back in time a little bit? Back to your job interview at LTCC. Can we do that? Cool, let's do that. I wasn't in your interview, that'd be weird. But let's pretend that, higher education, there's a lot of common interview questions that come up. So let's say you're in the interview. Let's rewind back. And let's say you had a question like this in your interview. So tell me about a time when you dealt with a challenging colleague, challenging student, or maybe a challenging faculty member. What did you do to make that difficult situation work out for all parties involved? Now, I don't know what you said in response to that question, but I'd be willing to bet next month's mortgage payment that you did not say the following in response to that. Difficult colleague? Difficult student? I ain't got time for that. Got time for that. It's so funny. Everyone talks about the difficulties that the students are having. Well, my life's difficult. That's why I need this job. I'll prove it to you, actually. You know what? I'll prove it to you. Yeah, let me tell you my schedule from yesterday. You know what? Hold up. Yeah. You know what? 4 o'clock, it was difficult. 5 o'clock, it was difficult. Drive home, difficult. Significant other difficult. Falling asleep difficult. Interviews difficult. I'm out, man. Tired of this garbage. I'm back. No one said that, right? Right? Okay, just checking. You know what you did instead? Something totally different. You connected to your higher self, your HIRE self, this magical person in the interview who's got an answer for everything. You got the same question, man, but different answer. You're like, wait a second. Difficult colleague? Difficult student? I'm glad you asked. Glad you asked, yeah. You know what? Yeah. You know what? I consider challenging students to be a gift. Because you know what? I can connect. That one nugget of commonality connects her to me. So I want you to give me an attitude of being rude. Know what I see? I see someone who's scared. Someone needs my help. So if you hire me at LTCC, I will show her and the rest of Coyote Country that we are small but mighty. If you hire me. That worked out great. That was awesome. Clearly it worked. I mean, you're all here. There's a huge problem in my story, though. There's a big difference between being hired to do the work and actually having to do it. This gap is where trust is created. It's about being the person who you said you were. And come to find out that the one thing that's most important for us to be successful, to create an environment of trust, is around one thing. You created a promise, you made a promise to LTCC, but you also made a promise to yourself. Do you know that the number one thing that erodes your self-esteem, and that's quite frankly one of the biggest things to create trust, is an inability to keep a promise to yourself? Let me ask you, what is the number one month for new gym memberships? Of course it's January, right? You already knew that. Do you know the number one month for new gym cancellations? February is correct! 1 month! People go to the gym, they do a couple of reps, like, oh, I'm not about that life, I'm out of here. I was like, so when we're talking about this, there's an insidious after effect that happens when we don't keep promises to ourselves. It's not about creating trust with others, then we stop trusting ourselves. We become distrustful of ourselves, then we don't respect ourselves. If we don't respect ourselves, then why would we do the right thing? It's just not important. We're secondary. It's not a meaningful thing. And at work, in your interview, when you said the highest version of yourself, because we always bring our best selves to work, the problem solvers, we're here to own it and solve it. That's the idea, right? So we think about this. That's what you do in interviews. You are problem solvers. But sometimes when you start working, you become a problem pointer. There's a problem over there, yeah. Someone should fix that. What's going on over there? Someone get on that. But to create an environment of trust is to be the person who you said you were in your interview. So to make it actionable, here's the easiest way to do it. Remind yourself of this. If you would never say it in an interview, do not do it at work. I'll say that one again. If you would never think of saying it in an interview, do not do it at work. The idea behind this is trust can only be created through action, not through words. And that's the second point of Ubuntu that those kids knew. To be the kids who they said they were, who grow up into adults who understand that I am because we are, comes from the idea of trust. And the third question is it necessary? This is the hard one, and it gets progressively harder from here. Is it necessary is around the idea of doing what's necessary to take care of yourself. A lot of people talk about self-care. I'm actually going to take a step further, or maybe a step back. It's not about self-care right now. You already know that's important. I want to talk about something else, self-compassion. Do you realize that as human beings, research out of the Cleveland Clinic, that we as human beings think 60,000 thoughts a day, 95% of which are the exact same thoughts you thought yesterday. That's kind of a bonus point, but let's get to the real one. 80% of the thoughts that we think habitually are negative. Isn't that scary? Think about what you're thinking right now. Ugh, I have so many emails to deal with. God, this guy is the only thing standing between me and lunch right now. It's just him, that's it, then I get to eat. I will never be as good as my sister, ever. Why did you choose to wear these pants? They don't even fit me right. I don't know what you're thinking, I don't know. But every single one of you has a certain soundtrack that goes through your mind repeatedly. And what's necessary is for us to start focusing on our emotional health, how we take care of ourselves, the words that we talk about ourselves to ourselves, the most important words that we have to create a positive work environment. This is the truth. Yet we kind of put this off to the back burner. I can speak for myself. The one challenge that I have, the biggest challenge, my negative script that I have going on, is something that's called the imposter syndrome. I don't know if you're familiar with what the imposter syndrome is. A couple of head nods, I appreciate you for acknowledging that. The imposter syndrome, in summary, is basically going around all day thinking thoughts like this. Oh my gosh, just another day where no one found out that I don't know anything around here. It's awful. It's not fun to think these thoughts, right? And the thing is, what we do is we all have these amazing scripts that go on and on and on and make it so much harder for us to do our work. That's the truth. But when you think about this, and the words that we say to ourselves habitually, I have to remind myself of giving myself kind words. Where are the students? Any students still in the room? Woo, hey students. You know, let me tell you something, a little word of advice. When you choose to matriculate and you go on to another college, let's say after this, and go to a four-year school, you may go to Brandman, go to Sierra Nevada, or you can go even to Washington State, CSU, UC Davis, UC System, wherever you choose to go. One thing that I wish someone told me at the beginning of my journey, because I struggle with this imposter syndrome thing so much, is have someone just reminded me, and I say this to myself every day now, that I want to say this to you, is you belong in any room that you walk into. It's not an accident when you get accepted into another school, a four-year school, or going to get your master's potentially, or going to get your JD, wherever you choose to go, you belong in any room that you walk into. And this goes for all of us, that we're not here by accident. No one's taking pity on us. You're here because you're good. Now, I've often found that I needed to offset those negative voices in my head. And I feel that many of us do too, because we save a really exquisite form of awfulness for ourselves that we wouldn't share with anyone else. I'll give you an example. I have two lovely little girls, and my youngest girl, she's 7 years old, named Nia. She's lovely, and she still hasn't gotten the whole shoe tying thing down yet. She's really trying, but she's like, it's still kind of just not tight as it needs to be, right? Can you imagine if I went up to my 7-year-old daughter who struggles to tie her shoe? Let's say she tried to tie her shoe and she just didn't get it done. I went up to my daughter. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Can't even tie your shoe. Pathetic. No wonder no one wants to play with you. Okay, so that's subhuman, okay? Can we agree? That's the worst thing you've ever seen. Who in the world would speak to someone like that? I have the answer. Many of us in this room. No. You wouldn't do that to a child. You just do it to yourself. Oh, God, I screwed up that project again. No wonder no one wants to work with me. God, I'm pathetic. I've now realized to do what's necessary, we have to give ourselves the kindness first, that self-compassion first. So what I do, I talk to myself the way that I would talk to the people I love the most. My children. So when I screw up, which happens every day, and whenever I mess up, I'm like, you know what, Shola, man, you tried. You did the best you could. Listen, we'll figure it out, man. It's okay. Don't be so hard on yourself. Is it weird that I talk to myself? Maybe. Maybe. But not nearly as weird as talking in a hateful tone to yourself that's going to lower your effectiveness at work and outside of it. And I'm going to even take it a step further with this is it necessary stuff. If you really want to take this challenge to allow yourself to do the best work, I want you to take an inventory of the people in your personal life, outside of work, and ask yourself this very simple question. Do they fill me up, make me feel good, or do they drain me? Let me tell you the truth. If you have more people in your inner circle who drain you, and you keep them there voluntarily, that's on you. And there's no chance of you being able to bring your best self to work if you bring people and keep people in your circle who continually bring drama and pain to your life. If you want to do something as the school year starts to really make sure that this year starts amazingly, I would highly recommend that you start separating yourself and doing what's necessary so that you can do the best work in this life that you're given. To be real with this, some people in this world need to be loved from a distance. Give yourself the gift of doing what's necessary by being self-compassionate first. I am because we are. You know, it's funny. If I could rewind back to that nurse who heard my first Ubuntu story, and I gave her, see, those are the 3 questions. I already know her response. Like, okay, Shola, yeah, but. So I want to preemptively answer the yeah, buts that you're thinking. Yeah, buts come up all the time with these 3 questions. Like, is it just that simple? Like, yes. But I'm going to give you the 3 yeah, buts that get in the way of these 3 questions around Ubuntu. Let me start with the very first yeah, but. Yeah, but Shola, is it kind? That's a good question, but yeah, but what happens when you deal with people who aren't kind to you? Like, I have a lot of people who aren't kind to me, so what about the people who aren't kind to me? Well, how would I deal with that? I'm going to give you something that's going to help you. If you deal with people in your life who aren't kind to you, I want you from this point forward to remember this. I'm not big on absolutes, but this is an absolute I'm going to give you. Always, always choose your values over your emotions. Let me explain. A lot of people are driven by their emotions. You know, hey, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. I never quite understood that, right? Who on their resume says, I'm super nice to people who are nice to me? That's not a marketable skill, right? So here's the idea. If you think about like your values instead of your emotions driving you, focus on your values. Your values are the changeless part of you that no one gets to touch. Not your husband, not your wife, not your boyfriend, not your girlfriend, not your kids, not the students, not the faculty, not the people in the community. No one. It's who you are at the purest form consistently. My number 1 value is kindness. So the cool thing about this is that when I know what your value, it anchors you in. When the world tries to push you around, you have your values. Here's why the values matter so much. I'm sure you're familiar with a man named Viktor Frankl. I hope you are. He was an Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist who was captured during the concentration camps in Nazi Germany. And he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning, which you should probably read. And he had a quote that was iconic. He said, in between stimulus and response, there is a space. In the space lies the power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and freedom. Can I promise you something? Every single one of you and those of you on the live feed, you will be triggered, okay? After this talk is over, something's going to trigger you. But here's the beautiful thing about this. After you're triggered, you're automatically put into the space. That space is the place where it's now you get to choose what happens next. And if you're not sure what to put into that space, I'm going to give you something. Your values should go there. Your values should go there. Some of you already know this about me. I go around the country giving talks on positivity in the workplace, right? Do you think in this line of work, I don't get some hate in this job? Come on, of course I do. You just met me. You probably realized something about me. I like to smile a lot. Come to find out that some people in this world don't like that so much. Who knew? So I'm going around spreading positivity. I'm walking around, I'm a happy guy. That's what I do. And here's what I heard people say about me in just 2018 alone. Look at this dude. Corny brother, look at him. Corny brother, look at him smiling all the time. He's so fake, walking around with his slim fit suit on. It is slim fit, by the way. That's irrelevant, but I thought I'd share. Anyhow, and I'm struggling, man. I'm like, this isn't cool. I don't understand why people are saying these things. Now, mind you, as a kid, this has a deeper effect on me because I was bullied a lot as a child. I was bullied for two reasons. One, I had horrible teeth that would not stay straight. They were super overlapping and crowded. They're straight now, though. But years of brace as a kid, then again as an adult. And secondly, I grew up with a speech impediment. Like, how did I get in this line of work, right? So I stuttered a lot. So I stuttered and my teeth were jacked up, so I got bullied a lot. So now when I'm a grown man, when I'm still getting these comments, it hurt me like it did when I was a kid. And so when I'm struggling, I did what most grown men do when they're stuck. I called my mama. Of course I did. What else would I do? So I called mom, because mom has the answers, like, hey mom, I'm struggling, I'm trying to spread positivity around the country, and people are calling me corny. Should I stop smiling, mama? Should I stop smiling? My mom, in my broken southern accent, I'm gonna do my best, and she said, she had to keep it real with me first, said, baby, first of all, I've spent a lot of money on those teeth, boy, for those braces. You better show those teeth off, boy. Duly noted, mom. But then she got really real with me. And this helps me when I deal with people who aren't kind. She said, baby, your job's to shine as bright as you can while you're on this earth. Your job's not to dim your light to make other people more comfortable with you, baby. Listen, maybe what you can do is that when you're smiling, you'll help someone else to find the light that's within them so they can shine bright too. Baby, smile and shine bright, baby. I was like, oh, mama. That stuck with me. That stuck with me. Because here's the thing. When we're doing this work, the idea is we have to think about how do we get to bring our best selves and shine. There's other people at work who may be unkind to you, and when they are, what they really want you to do is to dim your light a little bit. But why is that on you? Give them sunglasses. You keep shining, man, but don't lower your light for anybody. That's crazy. And for those of you who have more acute levels of rudeness, let me give you this. A metaphor that reminds me of what to do. Choosing your values will help you. This will also help you too. If you have someone who's acutely rude to you and says rude things to you, from now on, the next time someone says something rude to you, I want you to picture that they have a spear in their hand. They take the spear and they throw it at you in hopes to harm you, but the spear always lands at your feet. It never touches you. However, if you choose to take the words personally, it's no different than walking up to the spear that's in the ground, pulling the spear out of the ground, and choosing to stab yourself with it. Dramatic, I know. Why would you choose to do such a thing? The spear's in the ground. 15 to 20 minutes from now, my talk is over. And know what's going to be interesting? You guys will have the meeting after the meeting where you talk about what happened here. And let's say you're talking about me and you don't think I'm within earshot. Let's say hypothetically, you're like, oh my gosh, that guy Shola, he's so corny. Who wears purple on purple? Doesn't know Prince is dead? Like, what's wrong with this guy? What have I overheard you say that? I was like, oh my gosh, like, I thought like South Lake Tahoe was super kind and sweet, and LTCC is super kind and progressive and everything. You guys are so mean and call me all these comments, like, what's wrong with you? Oh! Whoa, that was, I'm all right. I'm fine, guys. I'm fine. Oh. I'm all right. That was ridiculous, right? I mean, come on. I fell on the ground. Seriously, that was ridiculous. Did anyone think I stayed down on the ground too long? I know. Staying down too long. Well, how many of you guys have stayed down too long? Not so funny anymore now, is it? I bet that if you lift up your shirt right now, how many self-inflicted stab wounds do you have? I can't believe that he said that about me, and she's so rude, and I thought we were cool. These spears, you're the ones doing this, man. And this is the saddest part. The spears don't even hit you, but you go to the spear in the ground, pull it out of the ground, and choose to stab yourself with it. You know what's the saddest part about this? When I give these talks, there's always someone in the audience that says, you know what? I'll change when she changes. That's when I'll change. I got some bad news for you, or some good news, depending on how you look at it. What if she never changes? Are you truly going to give your power and your happiness and your ability to live your best life to someone else? We give our power away too freely. And what's sad is that we often give our power away to the people who we like and respect the least. My challenge to you is that when someone's not kind to you, those spears are coming. Man, I get spears all day long. I get them all the time. I get online comments on social media, people being mean to me. I just go ahead and sidestep it. It's like the Matrix, man. The spears are coming. I'm like, dodging spear. Whatever it takes, man. Because the reality is they're coming. But we don't have to let it hit us. That is the first yeah, but of three. The second one, the yeah, buts around the second question. Is it true? Yeah, but Shola, you don't understand, man. My life is super hard. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. My life is overwhelmed. I mean, there's so many things, there's so many state initiatives happening. I can't even focus on just keeping my head above water here, right? It's hard. If you're in that place, I'm gonna give you something that's helpful too. 3 years ago, I do a lot of customer service training, and I had an opportunity for a particular hospital to do some customer service training with them. And I'll never forget this particular situation. This will help you if you feel overwhelmed. This guy came to my class, and I'll never forget this guy. He's a big, muscled-up dude wearing a super tight tap-out shirt. You know that guy? Right? He buys a shirt from the mall, and he thinks he's like an MMA fighter because he bought a shirt from the mall, that guy. And he came to my class, and he said to me, you know what, Shola? Are you telling me that I got to offer quality customer service to my patients every day? Every day? Every day you want me to be kind and loving. Every day you want me to show up to work on time. On time. Every day? Because Shola, that's what you're telling me, you're full of it and you know it. And he sat down, he was so smug with it, he was just like, yeah. So my line of work is I'm an educator. So I like to educate people, and this young man was lost, needed some help. So what I want to do to educate him is I use a really well-known educational technique. Feel free to steal this if you want, LTCC. So this young man was so lost, so what I did is I made him feel like I was on his side, and the second he got comfortable, I pulled the rug out from under that dude. I was like, whoa, hold on, wait a second. Show up to work on time every single day? No. Care about your patients and the work that we're doing and the mission that we're using to improve humanity every day? No. Take this work seriously every single day? No. It's ridiculous. He starts sitting up in his chair. He's like elbowing the cute girl in class. Look at him validating me. And she's like, ew, don't touch me. And but what happened next was so interesting. I was like, no, man, you don't have to do this every single day. But guess what? You do have to do this just today. That's it. just today. But you know, when tomorrow becomes today, just today. A week from now, when we finally get there, and this day becomes today, just today, 3 weeks from now, when 3 weeks from now finally becomes a day, just today. He looked at me, he was like, oh man, you got me. I was like, yeah, I sure did. But LTCC, let me make sure that you hear this. When you think about all the disruptive change that you're participating in or having come upon you, the reality is it's coming at you from all angles. Jeff talked about that earlier. But let's talk about what you can do. Focus on what you can do just today. If you're sitting here like, oh my gosh, Shola, you don't get it. Tomorrow's gonna be so hard. Who cares? Tomorrow's not even here yet. And here's the reality. For those of you that pay attention watching the news, how many reminders do we need to see in the news that tomorrow's not promised to any of us? All we have is this. All we have is this. I'll give you a personal example of why just today matters. 4 years ago, I used to drink 5 Diet Cokes a day. That's over the top. It's a lot. One day, 4 years ago, I remember saying to myself, just today, I will only drink 4. Listen, you gotta start somewhere, right? So I was like, I did this for 6 months, like just today, just today, just today. 6 months later, I had the guts to say, you know what? Just today, I will only drink 3. 4 weeks later, I said, just today, I'll only drink 2. The following week, I said, just today, I'll only drink 1. And the next day, I said, just today, I will not drink 1. And from 4 years and counting, I not had a sip of a Diet Coke, and I replaced it with green kale smoothies from my Vitamix blender. What? Talk to me about change. It's possible. No matter what challenge you're facing right now, whatever you're facing, all I'm going to ask you is, can you do the right thing just today? Just so you fall asleep tonight. Doing it tomorrow really doesn't matter. We'll figure that out when we get to tomorrow. But while it's today, just do the right thing till you fall asleep tonight. I can promise you, any of you in this room can do the right thing until you fall asleep tonight. This is how change happens. And in the story that Jeff told earlier, it's very interesting with the mouthwash, how something that was so strange at first became so natural when you just did the mouthwash just today. The same happens with any change in your life. You do the right thing today, and then you do it again when the new day comes. And anything can be changed if you just focus on just today. The third and final yeah, but is the most important one. This round, is it necessary? I hear people tell me this all the time. But Shola, I'm just one person. I'm too small to make a difference on this campus, too small to make a difference in the South Lake Tahoe community, too small to make a difference on the live stream, just too small to make a difference. If you're thinking that, I want to close with this one idea that may help you if you're thinking that you're too small to make a difference. I have talked a lot about my mom, but I've not talked about my equally fabulous dad, who's been married to my mom for 48 loving years. My dad is from a small country in West Africa called Sierra Leone. You ever heard of it before? Awesome, good. So for those of you who are geographically challenged, I'll ask an easier question. Have you ever watched the Disney movie The Lion King before? Okay, cool. My dad is Mufasa. Okay, so super wise, super smart, just totally gets it, which makes me Simba. But yeah, just saying. But my dad is super wise, and he's a college professor, retired professor at the University of Massachusetts, and he taught me so many wonderful things about life. One of which was around the importance of realizing that we're not too small to make a difference. When I was younger, when I was 14 years old, I had a particularly soul-destroying day at school. I grew up in Amherst, Massachusetts. I hope someone from Amherst is watching the live feed. That'd be so cool. But it was interesting, when I grew up in Amherst, I had a really soul-destroying bullying day at school where I got bullied horribly. I remember coming home And I told my dad, Dad, I'm too small to make a difference in this world. I'm done trying. And I went to my room and I slammed the door like a brat. I sat in my room and I marinated my teen angst. Some teenagers just like, don't talk to me. My dad, like my mom, has an accent very different than my mom. But my dad, I feel like I can do my dad's accent pretty well, but sometimes. My dad said to me one day, he said to me, Shola. Y'all think I'm playing, that's how my dad talks. He said, Shola, come here, boy. We need to talk. So I came because I wanted to hear what my dad had to say, because he's such a wise man. I was like, yes, Dad, what's going on? Shola, you said you're too small to make a difference in this world. Is that correct, boy? I was like, yeah, Dad, get this. My girlfriend doesn't listen to me. My teacher don't listen to me. My basketball coach doesn't listen to me. Silence, boy, silence. And I was quiet. What my dad said next changed my life forever. He said, Shola, whenever you think that you're too small to make a difference, try to fall asleep with a mosquito in the room. What are you talking about, Dad? Having a rough day, give me African riddles? Like, come on, man. Shola, listen to me, boy. When you sleep, mosquito buzzes by your ear. Try to clap with your hands, Shola. Grab with your fist. Stomp under your foot. Can you sleep peacefully, boy? The mosquito buzzes by your ear. No, Dad, I'm trying to swat and grab it. See, Shola! Even though the mosquito is small, it knows it can make a difference on things far greater than he. Call forth, boy. Be the mosquito. And he walked out of the room. It changed me, man. Because we have all this idea we have to be something huge and do something big. There's stories shared with students of this college who've gone on, moved to Hawaii, getting their JD, all sorts of things. One person realizing that they can make an impact on the bigger world themselves. Everything of meaning in this world started with someone who had the belief to go first. That little boy in the Ubuntu story didn't have tens of thousands of Twitter followers. He didn't have a big, shiny degree. He didn't have any of that stuff. All he did was have the guts to say, Ubuntu! But he did something first. After he said Ubuntu, he didn't say, hey, guys, follow me. I got this. He just started walking, and he held his hands out. What's so cool about that is that the truth of leadership is in that act. Leadership is not about follow me. It's about having the courage to say, I will go first. What I'm hoping for when we think about this new school year starting and the amazing initiatives on the way is that you realize that you are bigger than your challenges and that you can also use the ability to change your work environment in a way that makes it healthy, makes it productive, and most importantly, meaningful. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I ask those questions, is it kind, is it true, is it necessary, every time that I speak. And I'm hoping that you'll hold your colleagues accountable to these three simple questions if they happen to fall short, but most importantly, start here. Because the advice that I want to give you as I leave is simple. It's a combination of my parents' advice, to be quite honest. It's very simple. As you start the school year, remind yourself of this. Shine bright as you do this work. Shine bright. Because of what I've heard, mosquitoes are attracted to light. You belong in any room that you walk into. Let the light that shines within you be all the proof that you need. Ubuntu! And thank you all. Standing ovation.